America! God has shined down upon public sector unions. Yes, indeed, it is true. Public sector labor unions have dodged a bullet at the Supreme Court. On Tuesday, an equally divided Supreme Court affirmed a lower court's ruling in the case that posed an existential threat to public sector unionism. As a result of the split decision, the system unions used to collect fees from workers will remain intact. It is unlikely that unions would have survived this case unscathed had Justice Scalia not died earlier this year, leaving behind an ideological split for the courts. In the case of Friedrichs versus the California Teachers Association, a group of California school teachers were challenging the legality of what is known to be the fair share fee. Unions must represent all workers in a bargaining unit, even those who do not want representation. So where state law allows it, workers can be required to pay a fair share fee to help cover the costs of collective bargaining and fund the union. The teachers argue that this fee violated their First Amendment right, since in their eyes, public sector unionism is inherently political. Had the courts taken an opportunity to strike down the fair share fee, the entire U.S. public sector would become akin to a right-to-work zone. Hundreds of thousands of public sector workers would have the ability to opt out of funding the union that represents them. That, in turn, would have dealt a blow to the labor movement in general, as well as public sector labor unions. But the good news here is that, unfortunately, Scalia's death is unfortunate, but his death has allowed for public sector unions to continue as they currently exist. Now, here is what this means for folks at home. America's labor movement, including the public sector, has really been the engine behind creating America's middle class. Just think about it. Think about the teachers, nurses, firefighters, police officers, the tax collectors, right? The garbage men, the janitors, all the people that keep our community going each and every day. What these individuals have done is they have come together collectively to bargain for higher wages in community. And in communities where you have strong collective bargaining agreements, what you end up seeing is a higher wage for the entirety of that community. Right? You see less fatalities at work, you see safer working places, and you see a more thriving, successful community. What millionaires and billionaires and the far right has tried to do is break the backs of unions, because they understand if they can destroy and pillage America's working families, right, and take away it's the only power that working families have is when they come together collectively. Whereas in the Koch brothers can wake up and drop $1 billion on a campaign, John the janitor cannot. But John the janitor, combined with all the janitors across America, can deal one good blow to individuals who care more about corporations than they do about people. America, if this case were to go in the way that it would have if Scalia was alive, this would be what I would call the sequel to Citizens United. Because what Citizens United did was it opened up spending. So corporations and millionaires and billionaires can over-influence politics by using money as speech. What this would have done is taken away the ability for working families to counteract those corporations using money as speech by coming together collectively, because it would limit the ability for those individuals to come together collectively. So slowly but surely what would end up happening is you would create a system where you have us, working families, middle class families, versus them, millionaires and billionaires, with them having all the power and us having nothing. Right? And here's what they do. When these individuals have the power to make decisions, they literally harm people. You don't believe me? Thanks to Citizens United, we in this country got Governor Schneider. Remember him? Yeah, the governor in Michigan, who literally, to save a couple $100 a day, poisoned the people of Flint with lead, and then went over and ran down the conditions in Detroit public school system, making sure that Detroit public students could not get the education they deserve to achieve the American dream. That's just one example. I'll give you another. Pat McCrory, also elected by Citizens United in a state where it's right to work, where there isn't a big mass of labor unions. Now, he is pushing forward legislation that will straight up discriminate against lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgendered, and queer people.